Hey guys, welcome back. So it's been about 3 weeks now since we cut the hayfield for the first time using this Sicklebar mower here behind us. And as I got to the end of the field, like the last few passes, I noticed that the Sicklebar mower was actually broken. And I didn't mention it in the video because I was able to finish cutting the field just fine. But I don't know whether I broke it or whether it was already broke. And what it is this really big pin right here. This is the pivot pin for the cutter head. So that, you know, that sickle bar and the wobble box and all that stuff, one side of it goes into this pin, and that's where it kind of pivots up and down on. So there's a lot of weight on this pin. And on the back side, it's welded in here. And all those welds broke. And as we were trying to cut the field, this pin was slowly working its way, you know, kind of out of the bearing and into the wobble box. So I was able to get this pin slid back in and finish cutting the field. But we're going to try to get this welded up and fixed today and then get that put back together. But since I was going to work on the mower, there was a few things on there that I didn't like about it, the cutter bar, and there's some parts on there I want to replace. And then as I was looking at the parts, I found that one is just completely incorrect. So I got the correct part ordered for that. So we'll go through the cutter bar, replace a few things, and hopefully get this thing kind of tuned up and cut a little bit better. But let's go ahead and start with this pin and see if we can get that fixed first. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this all cleaned up and degreased before I try to re-weld this pin. So now that I've got it all cleaned up, I'm going to go ahead and put about 3 tack welds on here just to keep the pin in place. So now that I got it tacked in place, I'm going to go ahead and grind most of the old welds off so I can kind of start all over. So now that I've ground it down into the cracks, I'll go ahead and re-weld this and build that all back up. And hopefully it'll be strong enough that it won't break again. Well, it's not the prettiest welds in the world, but hopefully that's going to hold. So this has cooled down for a couple hours, so I'm going to go ahead and spray paint the welds. Or spray paint this whole side at least. So let me show you what we're going to do with this cutter bar. So you can see we have the wobble box completely taken off of here. And if you ever have something this far apart, you really need to look at this ledger plate, because this is a cutting surface. So that sickle bar cuts grass against this, and it's riveted in place, and you really can't replace it unless this wobble box is off of here. So I've got a brand new one right here. We're going to get that riveted on and replace it. But you can see how much sharper that edge is. This one's all rounded over, probably not really cutting grass very well. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to replace some of these rock guards that are bent up or look bad. And these actually are like an aftermarket. They're not New Holland. And this is what the New Holland looks like. This is what the original rock guard looks like. So this is what we're going to be putting on. And then the other deal that I noticed is incorrect are these hold downs. There's actually supposed to be 9 of these, and there's only 6. So they've removed quite a few of these hold downs. So I don't really have any to replace those. But the very end one is actually supposed to be a double. There's supposed to be this double hold down right here. So we're going to get this mounted on here, and then we'll move this single down a little bit farther. And then one other thing we're going to do is there's another ledger plate right there. That's another cutting surface on this far side. But if you look, it actually looks a lot sharper than that other one. And it's riveted in here as well. They're going to be a little tricky to replace, but I'm going to go ahead and replace this plate as well. So on sickle bars, sometimes they try to shear these rivets by hitting the side of the blade, so we'll try that. I broke one of them. Well, that did not break the rivet. Here's an old sickle bar blade. Maybe I can shear it off. Bam, broken. Well, I got that rivet out. And there went the rest of my punch. Broke. So I finally got the rivet out of the hole. I broke 3 punches trying to get it out and still did not get it out. I ended up having to drill out the pin with a smaller drill bit, and then I went up to the next size, and then I went up to the next size until finally the rivet came out of the hole. So now I'm ready to put this ledger plate on here, and you got to have these special countersunk rivets. They got kind of a flat head, and they fit down inside of the ledger plate. So now I'm just going to put this on the anvil, and then we'll smash the bottom side of these to tighten the rivets. So this is the far end of the sickle bar mower, and I've got to try to get this ledger plate out of here. So this may be a little more tricky than the other one. I'm going to see if I can shear these rivets. Bam! Got it. I gotta get those out of there. Figure that out. There it is. There's one. Good deal. So getting these punched down, these rivets are going to be kind of difficult. So I've thought about it. I'm going to put a piece of metal underneath there across that rivet for it to hold the head of the rivet. And then I'm just going to flatten it with a hammer on this side. So that's the plan. So I've got the cutter bar all put back together, and you can see here on the far end, so right in there, that is the ledger plate that we replaced in there. We ended up putting on the very last rock guard. We replaced it. We put on the double hold down or the knife clip here, and then there's a new wear plate underneath here. So that wear plate, here's another new one. And that sickle bar actually rubs against that wear plate, and that's what it rides against on the back side. So we put a total of 4 of those on. There's another one right there. And then on this end, you can see back in there, that is the ledger plate that we replaced. We've got another new rock guard on this end, and then you can see there's a new wear plate underneath that one. So all the parts are on there that I bought, and the intention is I want this to be able to cut good on each far end of the cutter bar, because that's where I was having a little bit of trouble of it bunching up, and that may have had to do with the cutters, and it may not, but I just want to make sure everything on each end is in good shape. So now I'm ready to go ahead and try to mount this back to the tractor. All right, that looks good. So I got the cutter bar mounted back to the mower and everything's ready to try out now. So when I had the cutter bar in the barn earlier, I did check all of the hold downs and the wear plates and adjusted all of those. And I moved the wobble box by hand and made sure that the cutter bar was moving freely and everything was moving the way it should and working the way it should. So I'm quite positive that there's no binding in the sickle bar and everything's moving freely. Now, we did replace the ledger plates on the end. Those old ones were definitely worn down, did not have a sharp edge no more. And it's definitely gonna cut better against those brand new ledger plates. Now, the one thing that does worry me is I put on these brand new rock guards down here, and they're the bright yellow rock guards. Since they're brand new, they actually sit a 1/16 of an inch taller than the other rock guards. So I've got a height difference, and that's actually your bottom cutting surface. So your sickle bar sits on that rock guard and it's cutting against it. So now that there's a height difference between basically two of your cutting surfaces on the bottom, it may actually not cut as well. I'm not for sure. So we'll just have to try it, take it out and see whether it cuts better or not. If it ends up not wanting to cut because of that, I can put the old rock guards back on and save those two for later. Because if that height difference is going to be a problem, I should replace all of them. And I'd have to buy 15 more rock guards, and that'll be about $200 to put into this machine. So hopefully it cuts well the way it is. If not, we'll just throw the old ones back on. So anyway, before we try it out, I need to get Scout here. I need to take him back to the house. There's no reason for a dog to be around the Sicklebar mower. Dogs don't see that thing sticking out to the side. It doesn't make a huge amount of noise, and they're not scared of it. So it's an easy way to cut a dog's leg off and kill him. So definitely need to get Scout back to the house, and then we'll fire the tractor up and try the sickle bar out. Hopefully, cross our fingers, hopefully it's going to cut perfectly fine and I don't have any problems. So the sickle bar wasn't cutting about right here in the middle, and exactly opposite of what I thought. I thought if any problems I had, it'd be next to the new guards. So I think the problem was with the new wear plates that I put on. They weren't actually coming in contact and holding the sickle bar forward, so the sickle bar had a lot of slop front to back in it. So I had to end up flipping those over, and then I was able to get those to match up to the sickle bar good. And now I think everything's gonna work fine. So I just need to tighten these down and give it another shot. So at least we got the Sicklebar mower fixed. That really large pin that broke, we got that welded back in there, and that seems to work fine. That is what it pivots up and down on, and what you fold it up on that pin, so it has a lot of weight on there. So I'll just keep my eye on it and make sure that I don't see those welds cracking. Now, as I had it torn apart to fix that, I tried to replace as many worn out parts that I could, trying to make the cutter bar actually cut better. Now, I'm not sure if I really improved it a lot, because when I tried to test it, the middle of the cutter bar was actually where I'm having trouble. Seems like it was not wanting to cut in the middle. It did good on the sides where I actually replaced the parts. So I may have to do a little bit more tweaking on this and try to get it to cut a little bit better. So out here we were cutting white clover, really thick white clover. It was about 1 foot tall. So I don't know if that was the best test on that real thick white clover, but we'll be cutting alfalfa in like a week. So next weekend I'll probably be cutting alfalfa hay. So it's been real dry, but right now we got a little bit of thunder and some clouds going to the north. Our luck, of course, it'll rain to the north, we'll still stay dry. But alfalfa grows pretty decent in dry weather, and grass doesn't. So the hay field is almost 100% alfalfa right now. The grass didn't really grow, but the alfalfa did. So hopefully the sickle bar will work fine here next weekend when we cut the hay. And man, this is, if you notice, I haven't had too many videos. About a week ago, there was kind of a little break in there because I've been working on this for probably a week. And it's really taking a ton of my time trying to work on all this hay equipment. So trying to make hay this summer has definitely just really taken a lot of my time trying to go through all the equipment, trying to get it all working. And I still have the hay wagon to go through. So yeah, it's just taken way more time than I thought it would. Hopefully I'll get everything in good running shape, and then I won't have to spend as much time trying to fix all this stuff up. But anyway, I think that's it for this video. You can probably hear the thunder and lightning behind us. So I'm gonna go ahead and head inside, and you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.